What's up, gangsters? It's been a minute since I did some randoms, so let's check some out. Okay, so here we go. Kind of backing up to my little 1/6 scale Tamiya Honda Monkey and the SLA parts. I went through all of them and actually did some fitment for some of them. I went ahead and shaped the seat. What I had done on this seat thing was basically created almost all of the geometry in Fusion 360, but there wasn't really any way to create the shape of it where it mates up against the gas tank. So that I decided to do by hand. And I thought it would be easy, but I have to say I'm very impressed with how tough this SLA resin is. I spent some hours sawing off the front of the seat, because if you remember, it looked like that, and then shaping it and fitting it and shaping it and fitting it, and a lot of trial and error there to get that where I felt like it looked good. But I think I'm reasonably happy with it. It kind of, it sort of suits the overall look of this thing that I'm going for, which is kind of that 60s style. So not a real perfectly blended seat. That wasn't really what I was after. I don't know, I may round off those corners a little bit, but at any rate, I'm happy to get all that mounted up and know that at least that everything fits the way that it's supposed to. You see, I got those side number plates on there, and so I'll be coming back to that. I left off of this project because I had gotten to a pretty good stopping place, and I needed to wait on John to send me some more parts. And I'll show you the reason why here in a second. In going through them, I discovered that we had a few that had some problems. If you look, you can see, like on the bottom of this little triple clamp piece, you can see that the bottom of it is supposed to look like that. It's supposed to be cylindrical, minus those remnants of the supports. And if you don't understand what the supports are, basically this stuff is built in a vat of liquid, and those first layers have to have something underneath them to attach them to the build plate, and that's what those supports are. And they're generally just little rods that get broken off. Anyway, you can see that this side of the thing did not come out correctly, and that happens sometimes. John just didn't notice. Sometimes it has to do with orientation. It's just part of running these 3D printing machines, in particular SLA. And so John is rerunning the ones that were defective for me for free, of course, because he's awesome like that, and that's the way it should be. So anyway, while he was doing that, I actually ordered some other parts from him, and he's been making those and shipping them to me, so I'll have all those soon. I also thought this was kind of worth taking a look at. If you look here, you can see this is the other seat. And I sprayed some gray Mr. Surfacer 1500 on it just so I could sort of see what the texture was like. And it's still tough to see with the gray primer. I really need to put some black primer on it. But now you can kind of start to see some of those layer lines, and you can see where I've been practicing scribing some stitching grooves on there that I may use. But there on the side of it, you can see some of the build layer artifacts. And those obviously have to be sanded and filled, but those really are not bad at all as far as 3D printing stuff goes. I mean, look, if you want to see what really serious layer lines look like, hang on one second. I have a thing I can dig out. Of course, I didn't think about this until just now. I have some parts in here. These are FDM parts that Bill West, one of the guys in our Scale Modelers Critique group, made for me. And FDM is a different technology. And you can see what those build lines look like. So yeah, you can see the layer lines you get from 3D printed parts really depend on the technology that you use, the type of material that you use, the way the part is oriented, the layer thickness, the skill of the operator, just all those things. And I have a couple of other videos on my channel that talk about 3D printing, so there's more to learn there if you want to. And I'm going to do a full review of these SLA parts from Masterpiece Models when I get the finished ones. Anyway, the other thing that I did while I've been waiting is I finished up the wheels for the monkey. And these were kind of a wrestling match, but I'm pretty proud of the way that they came out. It was a lot of work putting those bolts in there. And you can see I've got a nice valve stem. I think that's actually a 1/12 scale valve stem, but it looks pretty good even at 1/6 scale. But the bolts, yeah, I had to drill the wheels out for those, and I had to cut all of these bolts to be the right length, and that was a hassle. Cutting them wasn't so bad, but then I had to do something to dress the ends of them, because if you look, the ends of them were cut straight, but they just looked like they'd been cut rather than having that turned tip like a bolt normally does. So what I ended up doing was chucking them up in the end of my Proxxon and spinning them up and running a file on them. And that, in and of itself, was pretty easy and pretty effective. But getting them in the chuck was really an ass whipping, if you can imagine. Taking a little bolt that's like 2 millimeters long and trying to hold it just right to get it into a 3-jaw chuck without dropping it. Yes, much profanity ensued. Anyway, I've left this behind for now because I want to do something more fun for a while. And so I have been working on a Maschinen Krieger kit, specifically this Croat that was sent to me a year or two ago as a gift. And if you don't know the Maschinen Krieger story, these things are super cool. These were designed by an industrial designer in Japan named Kao Yokoyama. And there really isn't like a movie or a story or a game or anything that goes along with it. He just basically scratch built all these things. And they were so cool that he developed a cult following, and they eventually started making kits of them that you can buy. I've built a few others, and they're just a lot of fun. They're total science fiction, so you can do whatever you want. It's all, it just gives you the opportunity for some unrestricted creativity in terms of paint and weathering. Nobody can say, well, those things weren't in service that long and they didn't rust. So you can do, you can have fun. And this thing is a stompy robot, as you can see, and a pretty good sized one. I've got most of the assembly done, and a lot of this is dry fit, but you can see what he looks like at this point. You can see it's pretty big. I mean, that's what, like 8 inches tall, maybe? I don't know. You can see what I'm attempting to do with the turret here is a cast texture. I want it to look kind of like a big rough sand casting, like a Russian tank maybe. So that is Mr. Surfacer 500 that was put on with a sponge and then sanded down almost flat. So hopefully that'll look pretty cool. I'm going to shoot a coat of black primer on that to make sure that I like it, but I think it's going to be good. I'm waiting for some stainless steel tubing to arrive tomorrow that I will use for the shafts of the cylinders and the shocks on the legs. You can see those cylinders right there. They give you some molded shocks, which are kind of lame, but they also give you springs and other parts to make much better looking shocks. And I decided, why stop there? Why not get some actual metal tubing for the shafts? I think those will look pretty good. Anyway, these things are a lot of fun. The engineering on them is really nice. The fit, not always perfect. The instructions are a little goofy, and a lot of them are in, well, these are in Japanese, so you can't, I can't anyway, read them at all. And there's some places where you kind of have to sort of just guess what you're supposed to be doing and hope for the best. But again, it doesn't have to be exactly right, so not a big deal. But the molding quality is pretty good on them overall, and they're just really just a lot of fun, to build. So I will be doing some more updates on this one in my upcoming random segments as I make some progress. I'm just getting ready to start priming, and well, I'm going to do some detail work first. Not a lot, not going to go crazy on it. Just want to do a few details like replacing some bolt heads like you can see right up there on top. And that's about it. In fact, I think that's about it for this episode of Random, because that is 10 minutes and 44 seconds. So that's enough. Bye.